We're here in Concon in Viña del Mar in Chile, and as you can see up there on the hill, there are extensive tourist-based hotels and residences designed for both commuters from Santiago and people who come on holiday here in the summer. And what you'll also see in the foreground is the remnants really of an old fishing village, because not long ago, only 10 or 15 years ago, this whole area upon this part of the coast north of Viña del Mar was actually a traditional fishing area. And as you can see, that's changing rapidly. Now, some of that fishing function has been kept, but largely not. It's been superseded by yachts over there, and the fishing that takes place further up the coast. But as you can see here in the foreground, you've got new apartment buildings that have replaced the older structures that were here in previous times. And this kind of tourist development here in Chile is increasingly rapid along the coast. It's modelled in many ways on the kind of Spanish idea of coastal settlement and coastal tourism. If you go to the east coast of Spain in the Mediterranean, Torremolinos, places like that, you'll see or Benidorm, you'll see very similar kind of developments. Of course, it creates all sorts of problems. In terms of traffic flow, for example, the roads here clearly don't take the massive amounts of tourists that come here through the summer. This is quiet at the moment because this is autumn. Also, in terms of other vital infrastructure such as sewerage and water mains, electricity, etc., there's enormous pressure on these areas, and this has come partly as a result of relatively, if not almost completely, unregulated planning, which has occurred under neoliberalism here in Chile. The idea that the market solves resource scarcity and resource allocation, and that has extended to governmental functions in some ways as well, where hands-off kind of approach to planning. And so if you've got the money and the capital, you can develop these structures. Up here on the hill, in a part called Concon, the traffic flow is terrible, and people talk about the possible catastrophe because these structures here in a very highly seismic zone are built on effectively historic millennial sand dunes. Whether that's exaggerated or not, I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't want to be living in the top of one of those in a big earthquake, that's for sure. So there are all sorts of problems here. Of course, there are cultural costs as well, because the traditional fishing kind of areas of Chile are dying out. Some say, you can't stop progress. Others say that that's a big shame. And the idea of conserving culture here in Chile is something that's actually only really quite new. That includes indigenous culture as well. So the point is, here on the coast, you see evidence of rapid modernisation and economic growth, but there are political, economic, cultural, and of course, environmental costs. Georambles, 2018, Concon, Chile.